Hello and welcome to a special presentation from the In the Money Players podcast. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornital, back with you in the Brooklyn Bunker once again to do this special show for Assiniboia Downs closing night. Lots of good stuff cooking on this closing night at Assiniboia. Been great fun working with them throughout this successful meet. Want to let you know this show is brought to you by our friends at Contest Jockey. There will be another free Contest Jockey event, free roll for dollars. What better way for a horse player to spend their Tuesday evening than trying to win some money for free while also betting in these pools at Assiniboia Downs? And to tell you a little bit about what special is going on with the pool betting at ASD, we bring in a man who's been our key conduit with our friends in Western Canada all meet long. You might know him from the Harness Players podcast or the excellent work he's been doing on the Players podcast side of things. He is Mikey P, Mike Pribozie. Mike, what's going on?
PTF really had a blast this year doing the Assiniboia Downs content. Hopefully we gave you plenty of winners. Lots of good stuff there for Assiniboia this year. Closing night, so mandatory payouts in all the pools. There's a little over 200,000 right now in this pick five. Well, mandatory payout on Tuesday for that pick five. So last time they had a pretty big carryover. They had a couple $1 million bet into that pick five pool. So lots to get excited about here for Tuesday for closing night.
Just have to hope nobody hits it tonight, I suppose. But looking quickly at the races, I think it will carry. Well, I hope I'm jinxing this here, but hopefully it carries one more time, and we have that to look forward to as well. Late night stuff, which is really fun, for us East Coast people, especially if you don't need to get up early in the morning. First race we're going to talk about starts at 10:15 Eastern, 7:15 local. We start off with nickel claimers going 7.5 on the dirt, field of 5 going postward. Like, I was going to try to get one in at a little bit of a price here, a pace play with number 5, Call the Cops. I'm hoping they're going to have to call the cops with this horse, hopefully having an opportunity to steal the race. That's how it looked like to me on paper anyway, looking at early pace figures, that this one might be able to just shake loose and get it done at a price. You do have a couple big favorites in here who I think they might just be at a little bit of a tactical disadvantage. Curious if you like my idea at all and how you split these likely favorites, the 1 and the 2, Diamond Concerto and Wicked Black Bullet.
Yeah, my thing about Call the Cops is probably last time was the time. I mean, he had a huge lead in the stretch and really had no business losing the race. And just got caught inside the 16th pole. Now he's got to stretch out in distance to 7.5. I like the 2, Wicked Black Bullet here, and I know it's 6-5 morning line, but he's dropping out of the allowance races. Just won a 2 life allowance there on September 17th. Got a nice ride in that spot, but was aggressive early, which I really liked. Went after the leader early and was able to slip inside and held on late. I just think he's faster than these horses. I think that the distance is no problem for him. And if he gets another early aggressive move, Call the Cops just doesn't really like to win that much. 3 for 36 lifetime. And I don't think the 7.5 does him any favors whatsoever. It's proven that he's willing to maybe give it up in the stretch. So I'm going to sing away Wicked Black Bullet, and I'll know pretty early if my pick 5 is going to live or die.
I don't hate that idea, and I think there's a logic to trying to use both of them as well. Sometimes when they stretch out a distance, especially a horse that has a faint-hearted profile like Call the Cops, with, you mentioned the 3 for 36, and then factor in the 10 seconds and 11 thirds, might be a horse who just gets there and thinks he's done enough. But the other jockeys sometimes notice this too, and they can give him a little bit too much rope sometimes stretching out distance. We'll see how it plays out. Don't mind the idea of using your Wicked Black Bullet as well as we pivot to the second race in the sequence. We head up into the allowance ranks, going 6 furlongs on the dirt in a race this time around. The Timeform US anyway has as having plenty of speed signed on. Who's your idea of the winner?
This is a nice race. This is some of the top horses at the racetrack, and I think I would spread out a little here. I'm going to use a couple of prices. The 1 Slews Backs 10-1 morning line, 2 straight wins, and has been facing tough ones. Curly Issa, Tool Time, both came back to win out of that August 5th race. This horse has had a little time, can win from off the pace also. So I do think it's sharp enough to beat this level. I'm going to use the 4 also. Brody's Streak just missed. not long ago, being third versus these types. And I do think that this horse sets up for a stalking type trip in a speed filled race, like you said. Has to chase the sixth run today, who was a nose winner versus similar on August 20th. I think this horse probably gets the front in this race and has to probably beat the three in the race, who's 2-1. Really dueled with that one last time, if you look back at the August 20th line. But this horse shipped the century the three and really gave it up early last time on September 14th. Now a straight back in here, very short rest. I'm not so sure about that one. I'll be against the three. I'll use 1, 4, and 6 here in race number 6.
I have a long shot to throw in there potentially. Turn back angle on number 2, exacting. I was thinking that Slew's back from the inside might have that hand forced to go up there with the 3 and potentially the 5 and 6 and really heat this thing up. And I was just thinking that the 2 cutting back in distance could just end up in the absolutely perfect spot in behind the speed, but not too far back early and come running 8-1 on the morning line for a horse that's, it didn't work out very well last time going the mile and 8th, but that race may serve as a de facto prep for this one. Might find it a little bit sharp, but just thought on that turn back angle was worth including. And then of the ones you mentioned, I really did like the 6 run today, going out for that hot outfit, and another whether right up in the vanguard or just behind. Always like in these kind of spots being the outermost drawn of the speeds, potentially giving the rider options. So I was going to play it 2 and 6, Mike going 1, 4, and 6 there in race number 6. As we move on to the hinge of this pick 5, we've got $5,500 claimers going 6 furlongs on the dirt in this one. And here was one I was going to be happy to stand with the chalk. I thought that the 6, Market King, coming out of a race that had plenty of speed, those red time form US fractions early, now stretching out another half furlong in distance, but I just don't think Market King is going to have to go anywhere near as fast early to be able to seize control of things from the outset. I was hoping Market King could lead them on a merry chase in race number 7. How do you see it?
Well, one thing's for sure, Market King is coming out of the best couple races here, especially that race on September 3rd. Mood Connection had won several in a row. Radcliffe City was very hot going into that race, had won a couple in a row also. Now, this horse, if you look back, was very sharp at this racetrack last year. Back in July, was a nice winner there versus very similar horses that he had faced whenever he came back. Well, since he came back, it was claimed from the same barn that had him last year. Just this year hasn't been able to get it together. I don't know if maybe the horse has had an injury, was beaten by 12 lengths in the first start back, was beaten 10 lengths in that second start back, albeit versus tougher. Now they got to, drop down for 5,500. So I do think that if he's right, he probably beats these horses, but I'm going to play against and I'm going to spread out. I'll try the 2, Marquis Well. This horse races is 11 years old, but usually second back tends to improve. And had a prep last time on September 11th after being off a couple months, coming off a second place finish versus these types. I do think could improve versus this one for a very sharp barn. The 3 Freemaker 10-1 morning line I think is interesting. Just a closer. Really, it probably needs things to set up, but 3 wins this year, and you're going to get a price there. The 4 Replete 7-2 morning line, I think could be the most likely winner. Just stands out on speed figures there. If you look back, 62, 65, 60 the last 3. Well, none of these horses really are reaching those numbers. Now, it just doesn't win all that much, and that's an issue. So I think that those 3 can be used, and maybe a little 5 Gold Special. Now, I think this horse is a little low on the morning line, but you get a drop. Did win 2 back at the level, and it's just sharp enough. So against the 6 for me, and I'll spread 2, 3, 4, 5 in this race.
Well, let's hope one of us gets it. We're oppo there, but between the 2 of us, we have it pretty well covered in race number 7. I'm going to take another look and see about at least having some backup lines, assuming that this carryover is intact for that pick 5. It might be a kind of spot where I don't necessarily want to stand alone, but I do like the pace angle there and hoping that the dropping class will reinvent the form, as it were, because I do take your point about not being in quite the same form as last year. Let's go to race number 8, $7,500 claimers going a mile. Mike, we'll keep it with you.
So single way here for me on the 8, Giant One. 2 straight wins, very speedy. It was claimed by the Browns table, steps up here. And if you look, he's facing a bunch of horses that really just don't like to win all that much and certainly don't like to win at the racetrack. I do think this horse controls this race. He's going to have to be caught. He's certainly sharper than most of these horses. I think he's really going to be difficult to beat. If you're going to back up, maybe the 7 Captive Kitten, a horse that won a similar race on August 6th here, but is a stone closer. I mean, really is going to have something's going to have to sharpen up the 8. I do think for him to lose this race. So if you're looking for a race to fall apart, maybe the 7, 10-1 morning line. The 3 is another one, reserve proof. Now, 0 for 3 so far at the track, but had 3 wins earlier this year on the synthetic. Was racing at Golden Gate, was claimed out of there. Has faced tough ones. We talked about Radcliffe City, Curly Isa, Moon Connection. All light years tougher than these horses. So if this horse would happen to wake back up, getting a lesser spot, I think could be interesting as a backup. And remember, 20-cent minimum on this pick 5. So you have a chance to spread out a little bit for some lower multiples if you want to use some of these long shots. So 8 on the A line, 3-7 on the B line.
I'm with you with the top pick. I think Giant One is a clear top choice, should get the best trip. But I thought the 2, I don't love the 2-1 on the morning line, but I'm hoping maybe that ends up being low. The 2, the Calabrese Kid, I thought ran a kind of a buried, really good race last time. Timeform US Algo had that as a day where speed was favored. This horse ran much better earlier pace numbers in that race and still ran a representative, if not strong, final number. That was a slightly tougher race than this one, also according to the Timeform race rating. I just thought this horse could maybe be seen to better effect. I worry about him getting a little bit too far back. That's why I definitely want the 8 as the top pick. But I was thinking this horse could sit a little bit mid-pack, and if the 8 falters, felt like the 2 might be the right one to take advantage of things. 8 and 2 for me, 8, 7, and 3 for Mikey P. We move to our nightcap nickel claimers again. Fillies and mares this time around, 5.5 furlongs when it comes to this, what we hope is a big, fat, mandatory payout with carryover. Pick 5 at Assiniboia on closing night. How are we going to get paid?
So I think there's 2 pretty obvious ones in here. The 6 Mary Who, 2-1 morning line, speed. Dropped a couple weeks ago, and it's just been competitive. I do think probably controls this race just because this horse has more speed than most of these. Kind of stands out on speed figures. So probably the 1 to beat. And then the 7, Daisy's a doozy. Racing well at the level. 9 starts this year, 2 wins, 5 seconds. Last time, I think you can maybe throw that race out. Faced a horse called Brad Sweetheart, who stepped up and raced well last week. So needs to probably get a little bit of a setup here, but did show some speed back on August 21st. Could be close enough maybe to stock the 6 and go by late. So I was 6-7 there on the A line. Maybe a little B, 30-1 morning line for the 4 Baby Yada. Just improved last time and faced a tough horse and awfully special. That horse repeated off that race. In a race that, you're looking at lower level horses here. This is a 2-5 claimer. So, I think for just a little whiff, maybe a 20-cent multiple, I'll throw the 4 in Baby Yada to finish up this pick 5.
I mean, if you're right about Baby Yada getting the job done here, it's going to be Julio get the stretch, big balloons in this pick 5. I'm with you with your top horse. I think Mary Who just absolutely stands out. When the fastest horse in the race looks to have a pace advantage, I tend not to get cute. I was hoping to be able to close things out with number 6, Mary Who, in this spot. And hopefully we can get the money on closing night. I want to remind folks again, we've got a free Contest Jockey game. Go to contestjockey.com. Make sure you sign up for that. Check it out. You've been playing in these games, Mike? You've been staying up late, or is it past your bedtime?
I have been a big Contest Jockey fan. Obviously, I play in all the contests, and I just enjoy it so much. These Assiniboia races have been fantastic. I was alive in the last week in the last race in the contest. I think I was like 8th or 9th at that point. But my horse just didn't win the last race. But it's so much fun. You're in it almost every race. The leaderboard's constantly updating, so you got to get in on Contest Jockey. I mean, it's too much fun to pass up.
I could not agree more. Had so much fun playing in private games this summer. Hopefully those will be coming to that ability to play games amongst your friends will be coming soon. It's a great format. I think even better in the smaller fields, but these big fields too provide a ton of action. They're a great way to have a hook into the night. And then obviously you bet your opinions in cash through the windows. Hopefully we're going to have plenty of winners. Thanks one more time to our friends at Assiniboia. We'll hopefully be back when they come back next year, and we'll help ring out the meet in style for Mikey P on PTF. May you win all your photos.